Hello everyone, this is Jebro, and today is the Signet Necromancer build, which has got the Celestial Amulet, of course. And I'm going to be talking about this build today, and it's mainly played by Nos, who you know from the Abjured, of course, on the NA side of the PvP. Top tier playing, of course, going to WTS as well. In Gamescom in Cologne, so this is going to be quite interesting to go through this and just let you know exactly what he's run. He ran this on the past Sunday and the Go 4 Cups. On Sunday, as I just have a look, it was the 26th of July. So this build could change. This build might have changed even now. I mean, I think maybe he's trying different things, and you can have a look on Meta Battle as well. And that's got the basic build as well itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go through this build. I'm going to show you. So we've got the dagger Warhorn with the staff, of course. On the dagger Warhorn set we have the sigil of strength and the sigil of blood. So sigil of strength, obviously you're going to be able to gain might every 10 seconds or so. That's fairly sustainable in terms of your might. That normally happens every 10 seconds anyway, as long as you've obviously got something hit and you're in combat and whatnot. Sigil of blood, 50% chance on critical to steal health, so again sustaining your own HP and doing a little bit of extra damage. Sigil of ice, inflict chill, it's nice for those staff abilities as well, of course. You do get the chill on the staff as well, and also sigil of leeching, so after swapping to this you actually get some health as well. So let's go into the rune, of course. The rune of strength, at the end of the day, you're gaining might and also the power. Increased might duration. You get a lot of might coming out from this build, especially from things like the signets and whatnot and the traits. And you can see that plus 20% might duration on the 6th stat, and then also plus 5% damage while under the effects of might. So you're pretty much going to be under the effect of might the whole time. If you remember before, any celestial builds we used to usually see was Holbrook or strength. And that helps you to maintain your damage, maintain your might, and maintain your extra damage, especially through that 5% increase. Strength is something we saw a lot from Elementalist as well. It's more Holbrook for engineers because of the minus 20% condition duration. So that's pretty much why they ran that before. So you have to excuse me, I'm out of breath today. I've been working out like a mofo. Anyway, soul reaping, spite, and curses. Let's go through this. So, gluttony increases life force gain from skills. There you go. That's pretty self-explanatory. Soul marks. So marks generate life force when triggers, and marks are unblockable. So, main unblockable attacks that we think about in Guild Wars 2 as PvP in terms of Guardians is going to be obviously the health, shelter, the heal there, and also the gear shield block, which comes out from engineers. Now most engineers are running toolkit because that gear shield block is very strong, especially against, you know, you've got the bursty classes coming in as well, and it does block that damage. So your marks are going to be unblockable. So when the engineer pulls out the gear shield, you want to get into your staff and start popping off those marks and whatnot. You know, you can fear and everything else that you need to do, and that's pretty good. You know, as soon as you see a block coming out, like a guardian using his block heal as well, you know, you can actually get some damage in. Okay, so spectral armor, it's pretty much a given. So gain spectral armor when your health falls below the health threshold, so pretty good. And we've already got spectral armor over here as well, so make sure you don't use that when you're just about to hit 50%, because otherwise you'll just get it again. I mean, it might extend your duration, but I'd rather just, you know, use it again after you've hit that 50% and you've actually had that cooldown come out from your traits, of course. Vital persistence, life force drains slower, while in shroud skills recharge faster. So things like your second ability, which is obviously closing the gap. Let's get into Death Shroud. Let's see if we can just get into Death Shroud quickly. And we can just have a look exactly what the cooldowns are to a degree. Whatever. Okay, right. Anyway, okay, Death Shroud. Okay, so we have, Dark Path. Of course, that's good for gap closing as well, and converts boons into conditions, as well as Doom, of course, which is your fear, which is very useful, and you've got Torment, and you've got the AoE. Attack, which you can grab extra life force from, of course, as well. So you can see those cooldowns are reduced. Death Shroud is going to be one of your main abilities to use when you haven't got cooldowns left as well, so you can just spam the first ability to grab yourself some extra might and whatnot, which I'll explain a bit in as well. So the degeneration decrease is 50%, so you can really hang out in Death Shroud for a long time, and you'll see why that is actually very useful as well in the near future. Strength of Undeath, you do more damage while above the life force threshold, maximum life force increased. So you can see 15% increase there. Life force of 50%, you can do a ton more damage than you would do if you were under. So you know 50% of your bar, obviously. My HP is of that is 689, sorry. So you know when you're about 10k ish or so, you'll be able to pull out some more damage. So it's going to be nice to actually get that increase, and then we can see here increased critical chance while in Death Shroud. So that's 50%, and then you can do extra damage while you're actually above that 50% as well. So something to keep note of in the back of your head, I suppose. Spike trait line, Reaper's Might. So Shroud skill 1 grants might. Boom. Let's just get some life force. Again, show you exactly what that means. Okay, so you can see now. We're already gaining might as well from our abilities there. You can see mights are stacking up at the moment as well. 16, 17 every hit there. So pretty good. See the damage is quite substantial there as well. It's a medium armor target as well. So let's go into Spiteful Renewal. So consume conditions to gain health when you strike a foe below the health threshold. It's pretty self-explanatory really. So threshold is 25% and you remove one condition. That's actually 1k heal as well. That's actually pretty strong. So Death's Embrace. Inflict vulnerability when you strike a foe below the health threshold. Deal more damage while downed. Down damage for Necro is horrible as it is. So yeah, this line is very nice anyway, because even when you're downed you can apply pressure, and even if you're in a down fight with someone, normally you'll win. I mean, if you're against a warrior, they might vengeance on you and everything like that. But the vulnerability, extra vulnerability as well that comes out is pretty nice. Next one is going to be Chill of Death. So cast Spinal Shivers on a foe when attacking them while their health is below the health threshold. So 50%. Put Chill and remove up to 3 boons from them, and you do extra damage based on the number of boons removed. So if you're against something like an Elementalist, which is actually what this build is quite good at going up against, or something sustainy, even like a warrior or something like that. I mean, more direct damage you're a bit susceptible to, but you've got loads of utility to make sure that they aren't able to get that off on you. Things like, the marks on unblockable targets, things like that, which are really useful. Also the fears, Death Shroud, very good. Again, Plague, something which you can sustain with as well. And you can see, even if they've got no boons on them, you get like 231 damage, okay. Like 577 is the base. And Chilled, as you can see, minus 66% skill recharge rate and movement speed, which is always very good as well. So if someone like, for example, so if we're looking to try and take out, for say, an engineer, we can, that Spinal Shivers is good, but also this third ability on the staff, sorry, you can, because it's unblockable, if that engineer is trying to get away, you can then chill them as well, so they're not going to be able to get their blocks back up and their heal. So they've obviously got to get rid of that condition, so they've got to use Condi removal, and also you've delayed their heal as well. So also things like getting, while Elementalists are in water attunements as well, you can make sure you put Chilled on them, and also CC to make sure they can't get back into their water attunement and whatnot, and you've got a better chance of killing them. It's tough to kill an Elementalist anyway, we all know that. So Siphoned Power, gain mights when you strike a foe below the health threshold. Cooldown is 1 second, so pretty much every single time you hit someone you're going to get that's below 50%, you get 2 stacks of might. So let's have a look again. Let's just get them below, try not to get might from anywhere else. Paranoid there. There you go. You can see the might building up. So below 50% HP on a 50% on a heavy target, I got up to 15 stacks of might just by pressing 1. See, you can see the amount of sustain this has got with the might and that passive damage that you're doing. Okay, Signets of Suffering is not a massive amount, of course, but when you've got cooldowns up and whatnot, and you get back into Death Shroud, like let's have a look. See how much we hit in Death Shroud when we've got to 50%. We haven't got any might yet either, by the way. So we're just going to wait. So we'll wait for the maximum amount of might stacks, and then we'll hit the target when it comes back up. You watch, my might stacks is going to start down. It was 15, 16. So let's just see what it's like when it comes back, how many might stacks I've got. So I've got 10 now, 2k, 2k, 1k. Still getting might as well. I mean, it's going down a lot more, obviously. But now this should stack up as I get below 50%. There you go. So I'm not only am I getting might from the number 1 skill, but I'm getting might because he's below 50%. So that includes when you're in Death Shroud, of course. You can see the amount of might stacks went up to 24. That's pretty heavy. That's crazy, insane amount of gain from in terms of might. And actually, you know, in combination with the strength rune as well, it really synergizes beautifully. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind. Like, you know, cooldowns wise, Plague Blast is still going to do a lot of damage. So even if you haven't got any high damage abilities left, you're going to have, you know, the cooldown on Death Shroud. So, curses. Barbed Precision, critical hits have a chance to cause bleeding. We've got Celestial, so we've got condition damage as well. Plague Signet, so when your conditions meet the threshold, your next critical hit will cast Plague Signet on your target. So trigger is going to be 3 conditions. It's pretty nice as well. Obviously you'll gain that might, and the boons convert to conditions as well, of course. Let's go over to the next Adept. So Furious Demise, gain Fury when entering Death Shroud. So again, I'm doing a lot of that damage early on, because I've got that extra critical, and that goes quite well with this. So not only when you go into Death Shroud you get extra 50% crit, you actually get 70 for 5 seconds, and that goes down by 20 of course as well. Shroud Skill 2 now additionally converts boons into conditions, as we saw before. So, you know, if you've got things like you want to get rid of stability on a target, or you want to get rid of some of their boons anyway, some like, you know, protection and regeneration they've got up, you know, use the second ability, you'll put chill and bleeding on them as well, and you'll also reduce their cooldowns. So pretty good. Let's just come back out of Death Shroud. Jesus Christ, I'm not killing everything in that bloody thing. Going to the next Adept. Target of the week increases critical hit chance for each condition on your foe, and then gain condition damage based on your precision. So your condition damage goes up, and you can see gain condition damage based on the percentage of precision is 30%. So that's pretty crazy. So each condition is 2% increase. Let's have a look at the stats, and let's try and put some conditions on as we do this. There you go. We can see, you can see the precision increase just from the Death Shroud. Sorry, so that was 50-70%. You can see that's working pretty well, and that goes up to 100% as well. So going back to that trait, let's just have a quick look at it again to make sure that exactly what I'm talking about is correct. So increases critical chance for each condition on your foe. Gain condition damage based on your precision. So that extra condition damage is great, of course, and I'm not sure if the critical, I'm not sure about that one. Increases critical hit chance for each condition on your foe. I didn't really see a change in that. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Let's just see. Again. Jesus Christ, the amount of damage that skill's doing. That's insane. You can see the amount of condition damage which is increased there as well. So let's go on to the final trait. If anyone wants to quickly explain that, and maybe I've explained that wrong, that would be fine in the video. Like, I don't mind the fact that maybe sometimes I get stuff wrong in videos and whatnot, but it's nice when people can explain it, just in case I've said something wrong. Because again, Necro is not the most professional class for me to talk about, because I don't play it as much, but I still have fun with it. And then finally, Weakening Shroud. So cast Enfeeble when entering Shroud, critical hits inflict weakness. So bleed and weaken nearby foes. Pretty good. And there you go. See it popping off there. So that's the bleed and the extra weakness. Weakness, of course, very good. What's the range of that? Radius is 240. So when you're going to go into Death Shroud, it's definitely worth making sure that you can be near your targets. For that, obviously, sometimes it's a gap closer, but you know, that's another thing, obviously. So yeah, I mean, it's I'm going to do a video, and I've been able to kill elementalists. You know, top tier elementalists probably not, obviously, but like in games, like in standard solo queue games or team queue games when I've gone in, normally I don't actually die the whole game because this build is very, very strong. A couple of points on the meta battle that they mentioned as well. There's some unblockable abilities, such as, you know, the Wall of Doom, which is awesome. You can see there it says it is unblockable, so that daze is quite good. Number of targets is going to be 5. Like I was talking about Reaper's Mark as well being unblockable, good against things like that shield on the Engineer and the Toolkit, and also the Shelter Heal. Plague is very good for everyone. Well, I think if you play a Necro, by now you've probably guessed, and you probably definitely know that Plague is a good thing to use to stomp. It's normally your safe stomp as well, like especially in high pressure situations where you know you need to get someone down, you grab stability, and you're also going to grab the down. It definitely in a 1v1, that's going to happen for sure. Whether or not you use that in that situation again is another thing. Locust Swarm is pretty good as well, not only for the swiftness, you're already getting a lot of speed anyway from the Signet, but the damage that comes out of it, you saw that as well. You know, that's numbers, that's a lot of numbers right there. Life Blast, remember, we were talking about that being something you can spam a lot when you're waiting for cooldowns, but also to gain a lot of might. And obviously, like I said before, Dark Path is always your good gap closer as well. And you know, it's almost. I was talking to someone, Mo about this, the German caster, and you know, it's almost like this is the anti-sustain build. So things like elementalists and guys that rely on those boons, and even like guardians and stuff like that, aren't able to sustain because they can't put boons on themselves. Well, they can't really put boons on themselves if we're against them, because you're normally corrupting them through, you know, like your signets or through the traits somehow, or through your through your death shroud. So it's always pretty good, and you're putting chill on them as well, which is, you know, reducing their cooldowns, so they're not able to put those boons on themselves as fast as well. So they're not able to sustain enough, so this is why this build is quite nice. But then again, you haven't got tons of damage that comes out from this build. I mean, Death Shroud brings you some nice damage as well, of course, and you've got some nice combinations here, you know, like the dagger abilities does quite a lot of damage, it's quite quick as well, Life Siphon's okay, but you know, that helps you to get your damage off and actually to be effective. So it's quite important to make sure that you try to keep the boons low on your targets, and to make sure you use a lot of your, I will say, burst skills in inverted commas when you know they've not got those cooldowns available or those boons to regenerate themselves and sustain themselves. You know, we've got Plague Signet, explained that before, but the passive is the transfer conditions from nearby allies to yourself. Again, your HP is quite sustained. You can siphon a lot of health in this build and go into Death Shroud, and then you can also send a ton of conditions to your foe when you start to mount them up. We got the 25% passive run speed with the Signet of the Locust, of course, and that steal health from nearby foes is on 5 targets. It's AoE, so that's pretty good. Plague Signet is talking about, that's like, obviously it's a break stun as well, so it's your main stun breaker as well as spectral armor. Of course, we know what that is. You gain life force when you use that as well. And then also Signet of Vampirism. So the passive is heal when you're struck, which is quite nice. And against an Ellie as well, you know, they're not bringing out a ton of damage. Well, they are bringing out a ton of damage. We know that, you know, flipping burning is a bitch at the moment. I'm going to say that. That's a fine word to say because it's true. But yeah, I mean, again, you can sustain your health this way, and then the active is heal yourself and mark a foe. Ally players will siphon health from that enemy. So it's good when you've got a lot of people around you, so you can actually siphon that health. Let's just have a look at the stats there as well. Okay, so that's mainly the bulk of the build. I mean, you can ask questions as well, talk about the build in the chat, in the comments below, sorry. And if there's anything I haven't mentioned, then please go ahead and mention that, feel free to. Thanks for watching this video. Again, I'm not saying I'm the best Necro player in the world, but I just thought to put this build up here as it's, you know, one of the builds that I played in higher tier PvP. That might change as well in the future, of course, with Hard Thorns, but with this new trait system that's in, this build is here for a bit at least. So thank you very much. Bye-bye from my barking dog, and I'll see you very soon.